Again, for your kind invitation for coming here, for your generous hospitality, and especially for your vigorous efforts to promote aviation safety in Sudan. On behalf of my director, Mr. Matthew Baldwin, the European Commission feels honored to participate in this special event. I'm also conveying Mr. Baldwin's best wishes for a successful celebration. It is also great to see that directors from the International Civil Aviation Organization, ICAO, managed to join us from Montreal, from Cairo, and from Nairobi. This wide attendance here of aviation professionals shows that you are very keen on safety matters in Sudan. So today, we're here to discuss and focus, of course, on aviation safety. I'm honored to share some views with you about the situation in Europe and in Sudan, hoping that an air bridge between Sudan and Europe will be rebuilt in the future. So I'll divide my presentation in three parts. First, I'll describe some aspects of what we call in Europe the EU air safety list. Secondly, I'll provide you with an update of the situation in Sudan regarding the aviation safety challenges that we heard about. And this will be done from the perspective of a safety investigator. Finally, we will discuss the future, and as you know, this future will depend on all aviation actors in your country, from the political leaders all the way to the people, to the first-line actors like the ramp agents. So first, let's start with the EU air safety list. So this list, the list of air carriers which are banned in the European Union, includes airlines from countries having safety issues, mainly in maintenance and oversight standards. So this list prevents them from entering the airspace of any member state. The first list was published in 2006. It's important to mention that the rules of the community list of banned air carriers applies for both EU carriers, but also for non-EU carriers. The rules apply only for commercial air transport, that is to say, the transportation of passengers and cargo for remuneration of higher or higher. So, as you know, the Commission's sole aim is to improve safety, which is in everyone's interest. And our aim is not to affect economic or social development of a country. However, we realize that a ban has negative consequences, but also for the EU it has a high political cost. But when it's decided for safety reasons, hoping that it will trigger improvements. And I can say that here we don't have political interference in what the safety experts are saying in terms of safety and the decision from our commissioners. It goes from the bottom to the top. If there is a safety matter, the political leaders will follow. Moreover, the Commission has always been to explore any possible ways of cooperating with states willing to address their problems regarding aviation safety. In the case of Sudan, my presence here confirms the Commission's intention to foster cooperation. The other objective of the air safety list is also to provide useful information to people outside the EU, where the EU ban doesn't apply, in order for these people to avoid traveling on these airlines. It also establishes passenger rights to know the identity of every airline they fly through their trip. To this effect, the contracting carrier is required to inform passengers of the identity of the operating air carrier or carriers when making a reservation. For the purpose of updating the list, the Commission is assisted by the Air Safety Committee, which is composed of top safety experts from the 28 member states, and it's chaired by the Commission. It acts on a proposal of the Commission, and the Air Safety Committee has always unanimously, and I insist on this unanimous aspect, adopted the opinion. The opinion is then transmitted to the European Parliament before final adoption by the Commission, As a coincidence, today we had the 22nd update of the air safety list. It was adopted today and will be published tomorrow in the official journal. So the decision to include or remove a carrier is taken on the basis of common safety criteria, which are described in a regulation. So these criteria, they take into consideration, for example, the existence of safety deficiencies on part of an air carrier. It also takes the operating bans that are countries. It takes into account audit reports done by third countries or international organizations like, and any, of course, accident-related information. So all these criteria are based on international standards. And I also would like to mention that in Europe we also have the EASA system, which contains more stringent criteria. But when we look at the safety list, we focus on what ICAO says. So my second part is about the situation in Sudan. So as you know, all Sudanese carriers were banned in March 2010, following very poor ICAO use of audit, which took place in 2006, and especially a series of fatal accidents. An accident is always a terrible tragedy. Another tragedy is to ignore the lessons learned. That is what I call the second tragedy. It's when you have an accident is the first one, and when the lessons are not learned, that's another tragedy to my eyes. The technical investigation represents a powerful tool to understand what, how, and especially why the accident happened, and then it enables to take measures to prevent it from happening again. So I would like to mention two accidents. The 2008 accident took place in Khartoum, and the one in 2009 that took place in Sharjah. On 10 June 2008, Sudan Airways Flight 109 was operating an international flight between Amman, Damascus, and Khartoum when it overran the runway and subsequently burst into flames. 30 people out of 214 were fatally injured. It clearly shows also the depth of an investigation, and it also shows if the state conducting the investigation is ready to face reality by looking at itself in a mirror. I would compare an accident investigation, an objective and independent accident investigation, to a mirror. And the acceptance of this mirror and the readiness of accepting the resulting lessons learned, as I said, represent a very strong indicator of the safety culture of these contracting states. So to go back to the accident that took place in 2008, I know it quite well. The final report was made available on the internet. It was on a website. And the quality of the Sudanese report, the very good quality of this report, shows that your country is headed towards the right direction. It's a very positive sign. And regarding the second accident, which took place in Sharjah on October 2009, a B707 freighter leased by Sudan Airways from Aza Transport, which caused 6 fatalities. From what I know from my colleagues, the SCAA has also positively responded in this accident. The safety recommendations were accepted and in fact were implemented before the publication of the final report. So the findings of this other accident have apparently helped you to revamp your safety oversight system and has significantly contributed to the progress made in terms of safety oversight. Who cannot remember the past, I condemn to repeat it. So you also have investigated several domestic accidents from which you can learn and further improve your system. As I said, it's a very powerful tool. I compared an accident to a mirror, but at a larger scale. A ban could also be considered as a mirror, as it reflects an image of perhaps an unsafe aviation system. Highlighted in a positive manner by our commissioner. So you have been addressing your structural weaknesses in a very positive way. Sudan is now firmly set on the road towards achieving an ICAO compliant safety system. Given the original problems, the positive measures that have been taken will need some time to produce an effect, in particular the necessity to ensure that all air carriers themselves, so the airlines, come into compliance, and this will require intense and collective efforts. Major progresses were made at the level of the Sudanese Civil Aviation Authority, but they must encompass the whole aviation system. Aviation safety implies all actors, and especially they encompass the air carriers, because as you know, the air carriers, they are the ones who carry the passengers. Airlines know that all employees have a safety role, a key role in the safety chain, from the first line actors to the middle management to the top management. They're all focusing on safety. So as I said, a solid safety system must involve everyone. In conclusion, I would like to say that Sudan has now in place the necessary components to achieve compliance. The SCAA has been spearheading these improvements. At the level of air carriers, these important safety components must also be in place, and this can be done especially through the implementation of safety management system. So to conclude, the reconstruction of an air bridge between Sudan and Europe depends on Sudan. In other words, the return of Sudanese air carriers to Europe will depend on these improvements in conducting safe and sustainable improvements. So, on behalf of Mr. Baldwin, I would like to reiterate the high value that we place on dialogue and cooperation. We look forward to working together in a mutual objective to ensure a high level of safety for all. Thank you very much.